Okay, well, welcome everybody. We are going to go ahead and get started. Please feel free to keep getting up during the presentation and grabbing some snacks and some treats as we start. So first, I would just like to start off and introduce myself to you. My name is Sarah Parker. I am the program director for the medical assisting program here at Clackamas. But the reason I'm actually here to talk about this is that, as you can see behind me or running on the screens, my grandma is Japanese. And so while Sarah Parker might not give you that indication, if we got to know each other and sat down and have a conversation, part of who she is and how she grew up and that heritage that I have in my family leads very directly into who I feel like I am as a person. And so you can see we have a picture here on the top. Every Christmas we do family onesies. And so all of the cousins get together, my grandma's there in the middle, and we all take family pictures at the beach at Christmas time. Down below is my cousin Elizabeth's wedding, where all of our family from Japan came over to celebrate. And then you'll see my grandma in the bottom corner with my two children. And then you'll see her kind of in some of her younger years. And so for me, what's really critical is that I learned a lot of things from her and how she grew up in Japan that translates to who I am today. So my work ethic, we were talking earlier that if you didn't feel well and wanted to miss school, you put a mask on and you went to school. And some of those little intricate details were based on my relationship with my grandma. And so she is just a really critical influence in who I am today, which leads me to being really excited to kind of participate into this event and to highlight some of our phenomenal students here at Clackamas. And then before I get to introduce both of these wonderful ladies to you, there was one other person who was a part of organizing this event, and she could not make it today. And so I'm going to read to you why this event means so much to her. So Junko says, "We are Asian too," were the words that one of my students who is Filipino once said. And those words have stayed with me ever since. Filipinos are underrepresented in the United States, along with many other Asian countries. As an Asian and a member of our DEI, I wanted to give a spotlight on this country and honor them. I met Dominique and Danielle during the winter term. When I found out that they are Filipino-Americans, I immediately thought that they would be perfect for telling us about their experiences in the country for the DEI Committee Learning event in May, which is AAPI month. This event is not just a chance to learn, but also an opportunity to celebrate our diversity and learn what makes each other's experiences unique. These two young ladies are very bright, creative, and kind people who will be studying chemical engineering at OSU. I'm sorry I can't make it today for your presentation. You are fantastic, and I know everyone will enjoy learning from you. And a big thanks to Lumpai. Okay, so now it is my pleasure to tell you just a little bit about these two ladies, and then I'll let them tell you a little bit more details about the pictures on the screen. So we have Danielle, who's sitting next to me here. Danielle is a junior at the middle college, dual enrolling at Clackamas Community College. This is her third year here. She wants to pursue chemical engineering and plans to attend Oregon State University once she graduates high school. I hope to become a testing engineer and develop food and cosmetic products. In my free time, I like to play and watch basketball, specifically UConn women's basketball. I also enjoy playing tennis and Fortnite with my friends, and I'm also assisting my friends in developing multiple models to reduce CO2 emissions in the air. Then we have Dominique over here. I'm a high school senior who is dual enrolled at Clackamas Community College. She will also be attending Oregon State University, but she will be attending in the fall, also studying chemical engineering. I'm doing research, so I hope to be some type of engineering researcher in the future, although this may change. I like to play video games with my friends and read in my spare time. So will you join me in welcoming both of these students?
Yeah, so first up, our family timeline. So in 1963, Lolo, which means grandfather in Tagalog, he joined the U.S. Navy for fun and out of curiosity. He saw his peers taking the Navy test, and they were all stressing out about it, and he wanted to see what the hype was about. So to mention, he had this companion, but I think of him more like a butler. He followed my grandpa everywhere. He drove him, did his laundry, cooked for him. I think of him as Alfred from Batman. Yeah, anyway, Lolo, my grandfather, told him to wait outside the doors so that if he failed, they can leave right away. But the thing is, he passed the test, and then the next one, and then the one after that. And once he came out, half a day passed by, and Alfred was still there outside the doors, meaning that he hadn't eaten since the morning. And in the Philippines, you can't really skip a meal because it's a bigger deal than here in the States, I think. And my grandpa was all like, "Why didn't you eat?" And then Alfred was like, "You told me not to move." And anyway, after that, he went through boot camp and all the other stuff. And he was a mechanical engineer and worked on HVAC systems, specifically air conditioning. And he was on a submarine and was underwater for 6 months. And he was also stationed on a ship called USS Barb SSN 596. And that ship went to Vietnam, Hong Kong, Japan, Pearl Harbor, all over the Pacific Ocean. And after serving, he worked as a farmer back in AAPI, Philippines, in our rice and coconut farm. And then he applied for citizenship, allowing his children to come to the U.S. and become citizens as well.
Yeah. So in 1995 and 1997, our mom's siblings come to the U.S. So some of them went to the East Coast, but everyone ended up settling in California, or Southern California specifically. And the picture on the left is our mom and her siblings. And the picture on the right is the exact same pose last year during Christmas. So our dad got his Canadian citizenship in 1997, and then our parents got married in the Philippines in 1999. And after they got married, my mom moved to Canada along with my dad, and yeah, so he petitioned her so she could get she could get her Canadian citizenship. And this is them at their wedding. Mm-hmm. So my dad is wearing a barong, which is like a traditional piece of Filipino clothing. I think it originated during the Spanish era of the Philippines. So after they got married, they moved to Canada, and they had a house there. And they actually saw it get built. That's them in the new house. But my mom is big with her siblings, so they decided to move to California. And my mom is a nurse, so she applied through NAFTA, which is an agreement between the United States, Canada, and Mexico. So jobs could be traded back and forth, basically. And she started working at CHOC, which is a children's hospital in Orange County. And yeah, so they moved to Orange. That's the name of the city. And they got a little apartment, and that's me and my mom in the little apartment. And yeah, so they moved to California in 2005, and I was born in 2006. We stayed in that apartment for a little bit, and then they got a house. And yeah. And that's me and Lolo on my first birthday. Yeah.
And then the best day of everyone's life, my birth. Next slide. This was us on New Year's. So this was taken when I was 3 months old, and Ati, my sister, was almost 2 months. 2 years old. Ati or Ate, by the way, it means older sister in Tagalog.
And yeah, that is Didi as a little baby. I don't know who's holding her, but she looks so cute.
Yeah, but 2 years later, our grandpa sadly passed away due to a stroke. The funeral was held in the Philippines, which was the first time me and my sister ever visited. And then in 2017, me, my sister, my grandma, my parents, we moved to Oregon. And we originally stayed in an apartment, but then we moved into the house we live in today a couple months later. And then a couple months after that, our grandma traveled back to the Philippines.
So we go back to the Philippines, or my mom and her siblings go back to the Philippines. And in 2022, I was able to join her, and that was really nice. I did classes here at CCC online, so that was very convenient. And that is the view from our mom's childhood home. And yeah, it's just, yeah. And sadly, our uncle passed away recently to lung cancer. So the reason why we wanted to talk about this timeline is because our family's experiences shape ours today. So hopefully this will help you with us explaining our own experiences and coming from California.
All right, so the living experience between California and Oregon was pretty drastic. In California, we were constantly surrounded by other Filipino people. The population is 1.7 million Filipino-Americans, going to the grocery store, eating at a restaurant, and our family was a short drive away, so we were, constantly around them. And our majority of our classmates were also Filipino, and we went to a private Catholic school, by the way.
So in California, there's a supermarket chain called Seafood City, and this supermarket chain sells exclusively Filipino products. And usually you would find restaurants like attached alongside it. So like Jollibee, Chowking, Red Ribbon, Grill City, Goldilocks. Yeah.
Yeah, so when we moved to Oregon, there was a noticeable change in environment. And I'm not just talking about the weather, the community changed too. The population of Filipino-Americans in Oregon is 47,000. And compared to California's 1.7 million, it's kind of crazy. And we can probably count the amount of Filipino people we know personally on our fingers.
So whenever we want a Filipino-specific product, we either have to go to Fubon or go up to Seattle or go to California. Actually, when I went to the Philippines in 2022, we brought home a lot of food. But yeah, it's kind of hard to find specific products.
Yeah, so an experience I had in a school environment is back in 6th grade, I had a substitute teacher who had a noticeable Chinese accent. And after a few minutes into the lesson, the guy next to me, he leaned over and asked if she was my mom. When he said that, I rolled my eyes, shook my head, waved him off. I wasn't hurt by it or anything. It just stuck with me throughout the years. And it also made me realize that's how the world perceives me. The people I surround myself with also make some similar jokes, but of course they're lighthearted and they don't mean any true harm, but sometimes it just sticks. But it's not only negative experiences, there are some positive ones. A professor at CCC talked about a Filipino restaurant they went to, and once he said that, we both got super excited. Hearing that meant a lot to us because we don't get the chance to talk about being Filipino-related things often outside of our family. And also Junko giving us a space to talk about our story means so much to us.
Yeah. So now we're just talking about how we connect with the culture. And first, we start off with my trip to the Philippines. So the last time me and Didi were in the Philippines together was in 2011 for our uncle's wedding. And that's us as Flower Girls. And ever since Lolo passed away, my mom and her siblings make it a tradition for at least one of them to go back to the Philippines and visit. So in 2022, it was my mom's turn, and I decided to go along with her. So we stayed in her childhood home for about 2 weeks, and it was really interesting living like how my mom grew up. it made me realize how much privilege we have here in the United States. And it made me really appreciate all the sacrifices that our parents make for us every day. Because it's not easy leaving the home that you've been surrounded by, like the language and the people, and moving to a completely different country. So this is it's Christmas season in the Philippines. It starts in September because they don't really celebrate like Halloween. They don't have Thanksgiving, obviously. So they start all the way in September, and it goes on until like February. So Christmas lasts a long time over there. Yeah, so these were taken at 2 separate malls.
Yeah, so religion is a huge aspect in Filipinos' lives, at least in our family. Christianity is big in the Philippines. 88% are Christians, 78.8 being Catholic. And most Filipinos are Christian as well, 89%. Filipino-Americans are Christian too, 89% being Christian, 65 being Catholic. And again, not all Filipinos are religious. It's,
Our family.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, our lolas, grandmas, are very religious. We try to connect with them in that way. And yeah, this picture was taken exactly 3 weeks ago at my sister and I's confirmation, like I mentioned in the intro slide. But for those who don't know, confirmation is basically renewing our vows from when we were baptized as babies. And our grandmas were our sponsors, which means they will guide us through our journey of faith. Yeah, the grandma on my dad's side was mine, and our grandma on our mom's side was my sister's.
Yeah, so we really tried to connect with our grandparents. And this year, fall term, I took technical writing 227. And in that class, you write a report. And yeah, you have to do research on a certain topic and write a technical report on it. So I decided to write about desalination, which is removing salt and other minerals from groundwater or salt water. And when I finished writing this report, I showed it to my mom because my mom loves reading over my assignments. She's so proud of me, I think. And she told me that Lolo, when he was serving in the Navy, he also worked on desalination. And in that moment, I almost wanted to cry because we didn't really get to spend time with him, and I feel like I'm honoring his legacy in a way, majoring or pursuing chemical engineering. So yeah, I feel proud that I get to study here. And I don't think I'll join the Navy though, so.
So yeah, to us, our family and making them proud is a huge motivator in our lives. And I always try to make an effort to respect my elders and making sure they're loved and taken care of, especially with my grandmas. I always hold their hand or arm, hold their umbrella for them, put in their seatbelts, I love them with all my heart.
So since we live in Oregon now, we visit California annually, at least once a year. So we usually go down for like a major holiday or like a birthday. We have a lot of summer birthdays, so sometimes we go during the summer. During like Thanksgiving break or winter break, we go. There's like 2 times they've gone up here, but they all stay in our house, and the house gets pretty full when we're all living together. But it's all fun. So we're very close with our mom's side of the family, and it's very evident throughout this entire slideshow. And so this picture is us. I think the 4 oldest cousins. This is like our first Christmas together. You can see Dee Dee on the very left, and then our cousin Jeff, Ati JC, and myself. And then we also traveled together. So we went to Japan in 2019. Again, this is just the 4 of us, the oldest ones. And yeah, we just take a lot of pictures together, honestly, because we don't get to see each other very often. So this was Christmas last year. And then, so it's myself, Dee Dee, Ati JC, and Jeff. And that's all of our cousins on our mom's side. And our grandma on the very far right, I call her Wawa. It's supposed to be Lola. Lola is grandma in Filipino. But I couldn't pronounce my L's as a kid, so I just said Wawa, and it just kind of stuck. Everyone else calls her Lola, but I just still call her Wawa to this day.
Yeah, so real quick to debunk some misconceptions revolving about being Filipino. The official language is Filipino, not Tagalog, not Philippinese, Filipino. Again, Filipino is standardized version of Tagalog. Now, I'm beyond proud to be Filipino-American. We both are. But sometimes it feels like I'm not enough on both sides. The other day, I called my great aunt to thank her for the pictures of my grandpa. But when I thanked her in English, like 4 times, I said, like, thank you for the pictures, Lola Ina. I repeated it, and she still couldn't understand me. And every time there's an incident like that, it always hurts because I wish I knew Tagalog to communicate with my family and have a further connection with them. And for being American, when someone looks at me, they will first most likely see that I'm Asian. Of course, I'm proud to be, and I wouldn't change that for anything, but I'm not just Asian, and I'm not just American.
Yeah, Didi really put it best. When I visited the Philippines, we had the local church, or like the pastor of the local church, come and for dinner, and my mom was really tired that day, so she went to bed early. So it's just me, my grandma, the pastor, and like some of his like family or friends or something. And I don't speak Tagalog. I don't speak Bicol. I don't speak any Filipino dialect. And they do know English, but it's not like their first language. And I made me realize how much of our culture is lost when we don't speak the language. So I'm really glad that you're all here today, so we can share some bit of the culture we still have. And yeah, I think that's everything. Thank you. This was a bit incohesive, but I really hope you appreciate the different little bits of our lives.
Yeah, so thank you so much to Miss Junko, Miss Cece, Miss Casey, Miss Jessie, Miss Sarah, Miss Katie, Mr. Gordon, the faculty of the DEI community, and CCC for making this all possible. And of course, thank you to our mom, who's back there, top back corner, for shopping, making, cooking, and serving the food we have here today. And we are so grateful for this opportunity, and thank you all so much for taking time to come to our presentation. And now we're excited to answer your questions if you wrote any down.
Okay. So if you do have a question, if you could just lift that up. We have a couple of helpers. I know that Danielle and Dominic are both really excited to be able to connect with you further through asking questions. And just to say, on behalf of all of us here, and I know Clackamas Community College, again, let's give them one more round of applause for being vulnerable and sharing their story and helping us all learn a little bit more about the Philippines. So let's see what we have here.
So what does everyone think of the food?
Yeah, can we give it up for the food one more time? Honestly, that is absolutely amazing and takes so much work and dedication. So thank you.
It's very labor intensive. My mom is so amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, she woke up at 5 today, and that also the time to wrap it, which was like 6 hours or something.
Yeah, so
dedication. I love that.
Thank you so much.
Are there any aspects of Filipino culture or traditions that are more common in the Philippines that you wish were more common here in the U.S.?
Something courting. Courting's more.
Courting, yeah.
Do you
know? Okay, so it's when like a guy. It's
like they would like sing to you instead of sliding into your DMs. They would come up. They would come up to your window and play a song or something.
Yeah, and usually the guy would like have his friends along with him, like playing instruments. It's all romantic. Yeah.
I love that. I love the cultural reference of all those things. Sliding into your DMs. We're all going to remember that. Okay, here's a serious one. Are you ready?
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, so you both did such a beautiful job of taking all of us kind of on this journey of your family and your country and just cultural things, even though you didn't grow up or live in the Philippines. So this question is, what advice would you give to people who want to learn more about their families or their family's culture, especially if they're first-generation Americans?
Advice, honestly, just if you can, talk to your family, connect with your family. Family is everything, at least to me, and especially want to connect with the culture. And if you can't do that, there are other resources. Here at the college, I'm sure there's like a club pertaining to your
Specific
heritage, yeah. Or, you know, social media is there, or, yeah, you know.
And if there isn't a club, please feel free to visit the DEI offices, which are located right over here, and they would love to create one, resource you, support you in those ways. Okay,
Yeah.
well, thank
Yeah.
you so much again, everyone, for being here.